Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for being a part of StocktonCon Online. I am Bimbo Jimbo, and I am thrilled to be taking part in this Supreme Pro Wrestling panel. So once again, let me introduce today's panelist. We have Sir Samurai.
That's
We
me.
have Scoot Robertson. And we have the SPW Heavyweight Champion, Drake Frost. Welcome, everybody.
The pleasure's all yours, Jimbo.
off to a great start. But I want to kick this first one over to you. Obviously, we are in the proverbial unprecedented times with the pandemic and everything. How have you all sort of had to adjust and adapt, to this just crazy time that we're all in? Obviously, very seriously. Sir Samurai, we'll start with you.
Way too much free time. I'm used to being on the road every weekend and training, multiple nights a week. And now I've finished Netflix, finished Amazon Prime, finished streaming services they haven't even invented yet. So yeah, way too much downtime.
Done it all. Scoot, how about yourself?
Really just having a positive mindset and just knowing that eventually this whole thing will end. So keeping all those goals that I had before in mind and just trying to stay positive, really.
And finally, you, Mr. Frost.
Well, much like the other two gentlemen have said, I just try and keep myself ready so that when the opportunity does arrive to get back in the ring, I'm ready to take on all comers.
I'll keep it with you for a moment. In a weird way, that because wrestling, as they always say, doesn't have an off season. Has this been sort of a chance to reset, heal some bumps and bruises, and maybe work on some things that otherwise you wouldn't have time to do?
Absolutely. The quote-unquote off-season we're experiencing right now due to the pandemic has definitely given me more time to refocus, time that would usually be spent on the road making the shows. Definitely tried to maximize, give myself in the best shape possible to be ready for the return eventually.
How about you, Scoot?
Yeah, it's definitely, like he was saying, it gave me a chance to kind of reboot the batteries a little bit and let everything, all those injuries that I've been wrestling with, over the years, just kind of heal a little bit. But yeah, it's also, it was nice in the beginning to take that little break.
Yeah.
But now it's just taking too long. Now it's like, oh, I really, really miss wrestling now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, Northern California in general is so blessed to have some super great wrestling promotions. And of course, SPW is chiefly right there among them. What have you all thought about these crowdless shows, though, as I sort of just want to dive more into how pro wrestling has had to adjust? I know the crowd is such a big part in terms of how you all feed on that energy and everything. Sir Samurai, what has sort of been your thoughts on how the wrestling world at large has adjusted and been running shows with no fans?
I'm impressed with how hard everyone's working who's doing it. Member of the Honor Society, Timothy Thatcher's in NXT now, and he's main evented, I think, 6 shows, and he's yet to wrestle in front of a crowd for NXT.
Yeah.
But he's main evented like 6 times. It's wild. You notice that once the bell rings, everyone's working as hard as ever. But as a fan, it's getting kind of dull.
Mm-hmm.
I'm struggling more to make it through an episode of Raw or SmackDown. I'm getting bored, but you can't. Everybody who's wrestling is wrestling their butts off, and I'm pretty impressed with that.
Drake, what have you thought about it?
There have been some moments that are really enjoyable. Everyone is working real hard, and they're putting forth their best effort. But it seems the not having a true crowd of fans in the building in attendance definitely just reminds you of how things are different and the way things have been different for quite some time.
And Scoot, how could you sort of imagine yourself having to adjust to that? Can you picture yourself wrestling in front of, no crowd, not having that energy?
Funny story, I actually did.
Oh,
yeah. So, and just this past weekend, and it's definitely different in a bad way, because it for me anyway, like we're still wrestling, we're still doing our thing, and it's still enjoyable. but it definitely takes away a big part of the fun for me anyway. So it's just like, something's missing.
Okay. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. All right, this would have been the 20th anniversary of Supreme Pro Wrestling, and I want to get all three of your thoughts with that. We can start with you, Sir Samurai, and just, 20 years of SPW and, maybe some big things on the horizon for it as we move forward.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking because we were really on a good swing. Attendance was up. The last show we did was the last show before the anniversary show. I feel like we were really in a good position to break an attendance record. We hit up until March of this year. We had run every single month for 20 years. So it's not like some companies who run a couple times a year and celebrate an anniversary. This hiatus we're on right now is the first hiatus we've ever been on as a company. And obviously it's not our fault, but it breaks my heart that we weren't able to hit 20 unbroken. And now with no known return date, it's kind of hard to plan anything, because April of next year will be our 21st anniversary, and who knows when we're going to run again. So I'm really not enjoying the uncertainty of our future. I mean, I have no doubt we'll be back as soon as we're able. We'll wrestle. It's just the limbo kind of sucks.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Scoot, what about you?
Yeah, things right before the pandemic happened, everything for us was going the best it's ever gone in company history. We had the most amount of students in the training academy. We were having the biggest attendances at our shows that we've ever had. And, like Samurai was saying, we're coming up on 20 years. As an indie company, that's a big thing. And for me personally, the 20-year anniversary show, I was going to beat Drake Frost for the SPW Heavyweight Championship in the main event of the 20-year anniversary show, which is something that this pandemic has taken away from me, which is very, very upsetting, because that has been, a dream of mine since I started at Supreme Pro Wrestling when I was 12 years old.
I'm sure, Drake, you have a different opinion on how that would go down, but you are the world heavyweight champion as we approach this 20-year landmark for SPW, which, cannot be understated.
Yeah, absolutely. You see here, right here, this is the SPW heavyweight title, and I am its holder and champion. And if you think, Scoot, you think in April you were just going to walk into the ring all lottie-dottie and beat me for this title that I've worked 15 long, hard years for, you are sadly mistaken. I don't think you understand exactly who I am and what I'm about. You're dreaming a little bit bigger than you can actually accomplish. So, keep that in mind for your betterment and health.
Frost, well, I've known you since I was 12 years old. I know exactly who you are. You're just a coward, man. Like, I can't. Yeah. At one point in time, the three of us were the best of friends, and we know how that turned out. But hey, that's okay. That's not going to make a difference come the next time I see you in the ring. So. Well,
you're damn right. It's not going to make a difference, because when we see each other in the ring again, you're going to go face down in the mat, and then I'm going to walk out still your SPW champion.
Well, it is important to point out that Scoot Robertson is the #1 contender. Drake Frost, you are the heavyweight champion. And Drake, just in terms of, do you take special pride in being that champion, for a promotion that has such a long and prestigious history like SPW does?
No, absolutely. There have been many great champions of the past in SPW, and I have earned the right to be the flag bearer for this company moving forward. And when we can get back to it, I will continue to do what I do the best in that ring, and being champion and representing Supreme Pro Wrestling. And, no doubt about that.
You mentioned some other past champions. Supreme Pro Wrestling has had a bevy of superstars come through. I just wanted to throw out, Timothy Thatcher came up. Sir Samurai, we'll start with you. Some of the other names that have come through SPW, just to give people, watching StocktonCon online, if they're not already familiar, a little flavor for just the amount of superstardom that's come through SPW.
So when I first started training, I was training with John Morrison. John, is Morrison his name in the WWE right now? Johnny Nitro.
Johnny gimmick name.
He was Johnny Onyx in SPW, but that's where he got his start. And then on SmackDown, there is a Vietnamese ref named Brian, and he and I worked together at Applebee's, and he and I started together, and he's now on every episode of SmackDown. JR Kratos just recently went to All Japan Pro Wrestling. Jeff Cobb in the last year has worked for every major company but one in the world. And Jeff, while he didn't train with us, when he moved to NorCal from Hawaii, became part of the SPW training crew. He was one of our trainers. And so it's great to see him taking over the world. Who else? Who am I missing, Scoot?
Oh, you shouldn't ask me. I'm the one that's been dropped on my head too many times.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I do want to follow up on the Timothy Thatcher thing because, Sir Samurai, you threw out these already main evented NXT a handful of times. Scoot, what is it like for you seeing an SPW alum just doing these awesome things? He's not the only one, but he's the one that really comes to the forefront of my mind.
Yeah, it's really cool because I was one of the ones that got to train with Timmy. I saw him when he was just this British surfer guy, dude, and it was just, it's really cool to just be like, hey, look, I know that guy. I've trained with that guy. I've sweat with that guy. He was one of my first matches ever in Supreme Pro Wrestling. Yeah, like him, Cobb, JR Kratos, he's starting to get out there, just all these people that are our friends. It's really cool to watch your friends make it.
Yeah, it is. And the cool thing about the wrestling community and, most of the wrestlers themselves, I'm not sure if Drake feels this way, but the sort of rising tide lifts all boats. It's really cool to see the success of others. And it does feel like you have this groundswell of support when you see people leveling up and stuff like that. It's very cool. Scoot, I'll keep it with you. What in your mind sort of sets SPW apart from other promotions?
I've been to many different promotions. I've watched many different promotions, and the biggest thing is we don't have an end goal. We don't have a specific end goal in mind of attaining a certain amount of money or a certain status or anything like that. All those things are great, but we just do it because it's what we love to do, and that's, I think, the difference why we've been able to make it through 20 years as opposed to so many companies come and go.
Yeah.
We've been able to make it because it's simply just what we enjoy doing, and some people don't think that's the way, the business should work and all that. And that's fine. And we have our own personal goals as well, not taking away from that at all. But, it's the passion and love for pro wrestling.
Well
There's
said.
been many times where we thought that we were going to not be able to run the following month, and it would be the end of Supreme Pro Wrestling. But somehow, with the group of people that we have, we've made it through, and that's probably the biggest thing that has made us as successful as we are, and the longevity that we have is the group of people that we have.
That's very, very awesome to hear. We'll kick it over to the champ. What separates SPW in your mind from other promotions?
I would definitely say that we're more of a family, less business oriented. We're more of a family in Supreme Pro Wrestling. And we also have the fortunate grace of having a lot of talented people from all over Northern California who come and who take part in our shows. And I think that's definitely benefited us. It's always something different, and you get a lot of varieties of styles. You don't see the same thing too many times when you're at an SPW show. You definitely get a good variety, a mix and match of different styles, and some of the best talent that are current and up and coming.
And finally, Sir Samurai, what in your mind sets SPW apart?
I think Scoot summed it up. We've never been a business. I've personally have never been motivated by money. I'm motivated by experience and adventure and having a good time. And our goal is for SPW to keep going. And, we can sit here and talk about all the people who've passed through SPW, like JR and Timmy and Cobb and Johnny and Reno Scum, who came up, not trained at SPW, but spent a lot of time in SPW. But what I'm really excited about is of the 20 students we have at the academy, we have the next generation coming up. Like it's not a rest on your laurels type of thing. I can't wait to see what the kids who are training now are going to be able to do, and where SPW will be going into its 30th anniversary, and what success stories we'll have out there. And we'd probably be further along if all the people in charge cared more about money and business. But the reality is we just love what we do. It's the third Sunday of the month is my favorite day of the month because I get to see everyone I care about. And we all have the same goal, whether you're in the opening match or the main event. We're all rooting for each other instead of it being a cutthroat, like, oh, that should be my spot. I should have that spot. It's all three of us on the screen right now want to be the champion in the main event. And we don't want to give that spot up. We want people to earn it and take it from us.
That's I think if anybody hasn't been to an SPW show, I think the three of you just laid out why when you do bring back shows, get your butts out there and support SPW. I do have a fan question. And this is coming from an anonymous fan. It says, is Supreme Pro Wrestling President Miller amazing or just awesome?
Well, it's nice that Mike had time to check in. Amazing or awesome are our two options.
Yeah, amazing or just awesome. You know what? I'm just glad that you put him through a table. So
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind doing that again.
Well, Jimbo, if I can be frank here, the important thing is that President Miller is a hell of a guy. He does a great job. He has a grand vision where he wants to take Supreme Pro Wrestling. And, if I've got to be honest, it's guys like Sir Samurai and Scoot. You guys are really trying to hamper the greater vision of where we could be if you would just go along with the program instead of causing all these issues for President Miller, honestly.
Frost. You said earlier how we're like a big family. You're right. I agree with you. But my real question is, since when have you become such an ass kisser?
No.
I mean, I remember a Drake Frost that was a monster and that could take on anyone in the world and just destroy them. And he was.
Oh, I still can do all that. I still can do all that, Scoot.
Now he's just Mike Miller's little bitch.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, first of all, your language is very choice. It's so inappropriate. How unprofessional of you, Scoot. Listen here. I am still the monster. I am still a one-man war zone. I am the king of Hoss Island. I am the champion. And when you talk to me, you should take the bass out of your voice and you should show a little more respect to me of what I am and this status right here.
Did Mike Miller tell you to say that?
No, Mike Miller told me that what I should be doing is I should be focused on bigger and better things. But because I am SPW champion and you happen to be the #1 contender, I do have to at some point face you and beat you, dismantle you, and then leave you a broken shell of your former self and then be done with you.
That is a perfect segue as we have time for just about one more question. And so, Scoot, you are the #1 contender. Drake, you are the champion. When shows do return, you are on a collision course. You will have a match for that SPW Heavyweight Championship. Scoot, Drake, just give us your final thoughts on what that match is going to be like for all the fans out there.
Frost can think whatever he wants. That's fine. I know Frost. Samurai knows Frost. We've been best friends. We've been up and down the road so many times. But what Frost doesn't understand.
What is going on?
What's going on?
What is that?
What are you?
What is it?
Okay, bring the camera back. Bring the camera back. That's real funny. Yeah.
Drake, the panel's not over yet.
Hi, buddy. How's it going? How's it going? You see? There's Samurai. And this is a message. I'm not screwing around anymore.
Oh my God, this is disgusting. Drake Frost ambushing Sir Samurai. This is
what waits when I see you in the ring next to.
Yeah, I know where you are. Wait right there.
But there's nothing you can do about it. So you sit there and watch like a weak coward.
Despicable ambush. This is not what this is supposed to be about today. This is supposed to be celebrating Supreme Pro Wrestling. This is terrible. Unbelievable. Drake, you should be ashamed of yourself. Sir Samurai needs some help.
I don't need your approval for anything. I am the champion. I do what I damn well want, when I damn well please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for what you saw. That is not how this was supposed to go down today. Drake Frost, just an absolute unmitigated assault on Sir Samurai. Unbelievable. We were supposed to be celebrating 20 years of Supreme Pro Wrestling here at StocktonCon. That is just, Drake Frost has retribution coming towards him